Lechi lach to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. Lechi lach, and I shall make your name great. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechi lach, to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechi lach. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're so glad you're joining us this evening for services. We begin on 128 with Ma Yafeh Hayom, as we say how good it is to be together. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. O source of light and truth, Creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. We turn to 120, the blessing over the candles. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Praised are you, Adonai our God, who rules the universe, instilling in us the holiness of mitzvot by commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. We continue together on 125. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days in the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. We continue with Yedid Nefesh in the middle of 128. Yedi nefesh of harachaman, Yedi nefesh of harachaman, Mishach avdecha, el ratzonecha, Mishach avdecha, ya la 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 la, el retzonecha. Yarutz avdecha, kemo ayal, yishtachave ya la 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 la, El Mulhadaracha. Heart's delight, source of mercy, draw your servant into your arms. I leap like a deer to stand in awe before you. We continue in the English on the bottom of 130. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai, raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For Adonai is a great God, the great ruler of all divine beings. In God's hand are the depths of the earth. The peaks of the mountains are God's. God's is the sea, God made it, and the land which God's hands fashioned. Come, let us bow down and kneel. Bend the knee before Adonai, our Maker. For Adonai is our God, and we are the people God tends, the flock in God's care. Oh, if you would but heed God's charge this day. We continue with welcoming the Sabbath bride in 138 and 139. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmiyanu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, L'shemo tiferet velitila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'mashavat tehila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Hitoreri, Kiva ore kumi uri, Shir daberi, Kavod Adonai alaich nigla, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. We rise and face the entrance as we welcome the Sabbath bride, verse 9. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha v'tohola, tochem unei ham segula. Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. Continuing on the following page, 140, with Tzadik Hatamar. We're in the middle of the page. Tzadik Hatamar yifrak ke'erez balvanon yiske shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yanuvun b'seva deshenim vera'ananim Yihu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri tzuri velo havlatabo. We move from our songs and psalms to Shalom Aleichem on 142, which was originally a table song, as we welcome the Sabbath angels. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We turn the page and join together in the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uv'izman kariv, v'meru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mivorach, le'olam u'me'omaya, yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal, shmei d'kudasham b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, v'meru, amen. We turn the page and rise for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Do you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Barechu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Le'olam Va'ed. Yilalai lai lai, 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 yilalai lai lai. We continue in prayer on the top of 149. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. We continue on the top of 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ochev Amo Yisrael. We continue on 152 and 153 with Shema, the watchword of our faith. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. You may be seated. We continue with V'ahavta, 154. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu latotafo beineinecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Leman tizkeru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, vitem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. Top of 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. We continue with our song of redemption, Mi Chamocha, 158. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai la 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 la, yai lai lai lai, ya la 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 la, yai lai lai, yai lai lai la 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 la, yai lai lai lai, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, norah tehilot osef eleh. Norah tehilot osef eleh. Malchutecha ra'u v'anecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze Elianu ve'amru, Ze Elianu ve'amru. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. We continue together with Hashkivenu as we give thanks for safety in the night. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haparei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We continue on 162 with Vishamru. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Beni uvein bnei Yisrael, oti leolam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru V'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat, Lidorotam berit olam. So I began before the bar mitzvah last week, where I then didn't continue, talking a little bit about the various pieces of the Amidah before we stand to recite it. And we are up to the second blessing of the Amidah, which is Giverot, which is on 168. It has a few insertions and options in it. Right? We switch from our summer blessing, asking for dew, to our winter blessing, asking for rain, though it's not truly for rain here, as I look out to confuse people. It's tied to the cycle of need of rain in the land of Israel. And how at the time of Sukkot, where we shift, at the end of Sukkot, at Simchat Torah, we shift to asking for rain. Because if rain doesn't start falling, everybody's in trouble. But I also wanted to draw attention to the options that the prayer book gives us between Hakol and Meitim. So every time you see brackets, it's Meitim or Ha-Meitim. And Meitim or Ha-Meitim is the traditional language. Right? It refers to the idea, the messianic belief, that God will raise the dead. Once there's utopia, once there's no more death, once the Messiah comes, that everyone will be reunited. And what raising the dead looks like could vary greatly, right? We're all, united in heaven, bones literally are raised, who knows? There are some Jews who believe that those buried in the land of Israel will be the first awoken at the time of the Messiah, Messianic age, and therefore that's why they want to be buried there. But Mishkan Tefillah made the choice to put back in this idea, this theological understanding. The Reform movement for a very long time had Hakol, like the idea of everything has life, the life of all, the living of all, versus just the idea of raising the dead. But the liturgy nerd in me wants to share that our High Holiday prayer book actually went even a step further, and rather than brackets, which people read as less than, apparently, there's a slash, right? So you've got Hakol / Beitim, and the idea is that, everyone should make the choice that works for them, which can shift over time. The Saturday morning crew are much more used to me saying Meitim than the Friday night crew. It tends to throw people off when I flip-flop between them. But I think it's important to note that some days one might be more meaningful than another. Prayer changes. How we feel about prayer changes. What we are connecting with sometimes changes. And also that there's not a hierarchy, right? One isn't more right than the other. But it is a theological difference in understanding regarding the Messianic age. So we're going to turn back to 164 as we rise in body or spirit for the Amidah, and we'll chant through 170. Adonai sifatayv tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'nehem, L'man Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Vezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav laHoshia, Mashiv haruach, Umorid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye metim berachamim rabim, Somech noflim berofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha bal givuro, Umido melach, Melech meimidu mechaye, Umatmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah lechayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. We continue in the middle of 173. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. We continue together in the middle of 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'odcha levadcha, b'yirah na'avod. The middle of 177. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'cha na'eh lehodot. We continue together in 178 with our prayer for peace. Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav. Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha livarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol ed u'b'chol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. The bottom of the page. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamberech et amo Yisrael, Bashalom. We take a moment for silent prayer, the words in your hearts, the words on pages 180, 181. O Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Ve'asu li mikdash v'shalchamti betacham ve'anachnu nevarech Yah me'atah ve'ad olam. O Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. We turn together to page 371 as our thoughts turn to those in our family, our community, our world who are in need of healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. If there's someone you're thinking of and you'd like to share their name, please feel free to do so out loud or in the chat. Al Berman, Dennis Linderman, Raj, Jerry Schicker, Rena Masari, Margot Seckler, Sally Horner, Dick Horner. We hold all those named and unnamed in our hearts as we pray for all those with illness, suffering from devastation around the world. We add to these names Bob, Janie, Chris, Noah, Dale, the Treva M family, and May. We join together. Mi sheberach Avotenu Mekor habracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach Imotenu Mekor habracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. This week, we read from Parsha Lech Lecha, the Parsha where Abram, is charged to leave his home, where his name is changed, and where he makes a brit, a covenant with God. Avram's name is changed to Avraham, Abraham. In Genesis chapter 17, we read, when Abram was 99 years old, Adonai appeared to Abram and said to him, I am El Shaddai. Walk in my ways and be blameless. I will establish my covenant between me and you, and I will make you exceedingly numerous. Abram threw himself on his face, and God spoke to him further. As for me, this is my covenant with you. You shall be the father of a multitude of nations, and you shall no longer be called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham. For I make you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fertile and make nations of you, and kings shall come forth from you. I will maintain my covenant between me and you and your offspring to come, as an everlasting covenant through the ages, to be God to you and to your offspring to come. I assign the land you sojourn in to you and your offspring to come, all the land of Canaan, as an everlasting holding. I will be their God. This year in the religious school, we're teaching the students about the importance of a good name, a Shem Tov in Hebrew. Our tradition has many things to teach us about names and naming, including the teaching from Pirkei Avot 4:13, in which we read, Rabbi Shimon says, there are 3 crowns, the crown of Torah, the crown of priesthood, and the crown of monarchy. But the crown of a good name outweighs them all. A good name is a powerful thing, and something we should all strive towards. A good name is about our actions, how we treat one another. Some of the ideas of what a good name might be from our students include loyal and trustworthy, honest, helpful, kind. Another word we might add to the list is righteous. My colleague, Rabbi Sheldon Martyr, teaches that there's a midrash, a commentary about Abraham and Sarah, that states that their devotion to Torah was complete. The two of them observed the Torah from Aleph to Tav, meaning in English from A to Z. Therefore, asserts the midrash, Psalm 112 was composed about Abraham, And Proverbs 31, verses 10 through 31, was composed about Sarah. For these depictions about a righteous man and a righteous woman go from Aleph to Tav. They're alphabetical acrostics. How beautiful is our tradition to connect Psalm 112 and Proverbs 31, 10 through 31 to our ancestors. Though they are no longer alphabetical acrostics when in translation, I thought I would share both with you this evening along with some commentary through the lens of them speaking of Abraham and Sarah. Psalm 112 is translated by Robert Alter, reads as follows. Hallelujah. Happy the man who fears Adonai. His commands he keenly desires. A great figure in the land his seed shall be. The generation of the upright shall be blessed. Abundance and wealth in his home, and righteousness stands forever. Light dawns in darkness for the upright, gracious and merciful and just. Good is the man who shows grace and lends. He sustains his words with justice. For he shall never stumble. An eternal remembrance the just man shall be. From evil rumor he shall not fear. His heart is firm. He trusts in Adonai. His heart is staunch. He shall not fear till he sees the defeat of his foes. He dispenses, he gives to the needy. His righteousness stands forever. His horn shall be raised in glory. The wicked man sees and is vexed. He gnashes his teeth and he quails. The desire of the wicked shall perish. If we read the psalm with the understanding that it speaks of Abraham, our great forefather, we glean more information than if we read it generally. Abraham does fear God, is a great figure whose descendants are as numerous as the stars, was wealthy, stood up for justice. The list goes on. And we also must note that Abraham was not perfect. He forced Sarah to pretend to be his sister on 2 separate occasions because he was fearful for his life as the husband of a beautiful woman. He allows Sarah to mistreat Hagar, to shove Ishmael aside, yet he is also a model of hospitality and kindness. Before I share the words of Proverbs 31, 10 through 31, a few thoughts about it. While we're reading this selection of Proverbs as speaking of Sarah, there are other understandings of who wrote this piece and for whom. Some believe it was King Solomon who wrote it in honor of his mother, Queen Bathsheba, wife of King David, while others teach that the 22 verses correspond to 19 great Jewish women, with the last 4 verses corresponding to the same person. The tradition in many households for generations is for a husband to recite this selection called Eshet Chayil on Friday nights in honor of his wife. Proverbs 31, 10 through 31. A worthy woman who can find, her price is far beyond rubies. The heart of her husband trusts her, and no prize does he lack. She repays him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeks out wool and flax and performs with willing hands. She is like merchant ships. From afar she brings her bread. She gets up while it is still night and provides nourishment for her house and a portion for her young woman. She sets her mind on a field and buys it. From the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She girds her loins in strength and gives power to her arms. She understands that her wares are good. Her lamp does not go out at night. Her hands she reaches out to the distaff, and her palms hold on to the spindle. Her palms she opens to the poor, and her hands she extends to the wretched. She does not fear for her household because of snow, for her whole household is clothed in scarlet. Covers she makes for herself, linen and purple her garments. Her husband is famed in the gates when he sits with the land's elders. Fine cloth she makes and sells it. A loin cloth she gives to the trader. Strength and grandeur are her garment, and she laughs at the day to come. She opens her mouth in wisdom. Teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks after the ways of her house and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her sons rise and call her happy. Her husband, he praises her. Many daughters have done worthy things, but you surpass them all. Grace is a lie and beauty mere breath. A Lord-fearing woman, it is she who is praised. Give her from the fruit of her hands, and let her deeds praise her in the gates. If we read these 22 verses carefully through the lens of Sarah's life, we are given another glimpse into the life of our ancestor. For though she was not perfect, because no one is perfect, we hold her up as an example of hospitality, beauty, motherhood. The verses tell us that Sarah was trustworthy, modest, happy, industrious, caring, and smart, among other virtues. Both Psalm 122 and Proverbs 31:10 through 31 give us a glimpse into the humanity of Abraham and Sarah, if we choose to read them as describing our ancestors. This is one way in which Midrash, the commentary and stories that extrapolate Torah, allows us to fill in the gaps in the story. Midrash continues to be written today and allows each one of us, for each one of us has the ability to write Midrash, an opportunity to answer the questions Torah leaves us with. What was Abraham like as a child? Why did Sarah behave as she did towards Hagar? How does Ishmael or Isaac feel after the trials and tribulations of their youth? May the questions you hold be a lens through which to delve deeper and understand more about our ancestors. May you, like them, be blessed with a Shem Tov, a good name. Shabbat Shalom. We turn together to page 586 as we prepare for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kue haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpechot adama, shelo samchalkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. Ve'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Shehu noteh shamayim ve'osed haaretz u'moshev yikaro b'shamayim mima'al u'shchinatu zo begovhei meromim u'Eloheinu einod emet malkeinu efes ulato kakatuv betorato v'yadata yom v'hashevota elevavecha ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim b'shamayim imal ve'al haaretz mitachat einod. The top of 591, we continue together. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. V'nehemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad U'shemo echad. You may be seated. 594. Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God in each hour of the 24, and each moment then. In the faces of men and women, I see God, and in my own face in the glass, I find letters from God dropped in the street, and everyone is signed by God's name. And I leave them where they are. For I know that wheresoever I go, others will punctually come forever and ever. We especially remember the yahrzeits of Francis Arculis, Margaret L. Davis, Fritz Fabisch, Jacob Fire, Jack Forstein, Martin Gordon, Howard Greenberg, Laurie Jondal, Clifford M. Casalo, Jacob Leader, Jack Levy, Martha Lozer, Joseph Oberman, Wesley Odom, Helen Simon Persky, Carol Rosenbaum, Ray Rodbard, Charles Schulman, Sol Schulman, Bessie Walensky Tanoff, Esther Weintraub, Anna Weinman, Dorothy Wolf, Irving Wolf, and Israel Ziering. Do we have additions? Erwin Rosenbaum. We turn to page 598 as we rise in body or spirit for the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, B'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon u'b'yomechon u'b'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, B'agala u'b'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam u'lomei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dukudisha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav huya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. You may be seated. So I actually wrote out the announcements this week, so maybe it'll go a little smoother. Tomorrow morning, services are at 10 a.m. in person and on Zoom, followed by Torah study at 11:30. School this week on Sunday is going to be on Zoom only. Our younger students, K through 7 from 10 to 12, and our 8th through 10th graders, 11 to 12. Sunday in person, mostly, but there's also a Zoom link if you reach out to me. We're beginning an adult Hebrew class. It's going to be from 2 to 3:30 on select Sundays between now and the end of the year, based on holidays and vacation. But any and all are welcome to join us. Religious school on Wednesday, 4:30 to 6:30 or 4:30 to 5:30 based on everyone's set schedules for which classes are meeting when online. And in person, book club is meeting Wednesday at 7 p.m., which is a change from their normal Thursdays. They're looking at When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit, which is a middle school, late elementary school read on the Holocaust. The discussion is going to be focused on not only the book, but how to talk about the Holocaust with younger kids, as many of the members have grandchildren. At 7 p.m., this is a bookstore. Any questions, reach out to Carrie. Thursday, I'm very excited to announce, at 7 p.m. is the first in a series that Rabbi Estrin at Congregation of Moses and I are alternating teaching. So 7 o'clock on Thursday, she is starting with, the title is Scouts, in person and online on Zoom. No cost. We'd love to have everyone. Each month we're going to spend 4 months, once a month, looking at the Scouts, the Trailblazers, the Pathfinders of the leading up to the ordination of women as rabbis, as this is the 50th year marking Rabbi Sally Presand's ordination in 1972. So it's once a month. My class is on Tuesdays and hers on Thursdays, but the whole schedule is available. And it is leading up to a virtual visit on Zoom from Rabbi Presand in February that we're very excited about. And then Friday, there will not be services here or on our YouTube channel as the students are leading Friday night services at the Congregation of Moses at 7 p.m. And that is where I will also be. The COM bulletin says 6:30. Then it might be at 6:30, but I was told 7. So I will check on Sunday, and Monday's email will absolutely be correct. Yes?
Will everyone be invited next Friday at Congregation of Moses?
That's my understanding. Social distancing and masks are in effect. But my understanding is everyone is welcome.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then but services next Saturday, the 22nd, I think that is. We will have services in person on Zoom here. And I'm pushing a save the date for November 5th here at 7. We will have a joint service with Congregation of Moses and TBE, Temple Bethel and Battle Creek. How exactly that's going to look might shift, but we're excited to once again be celebrating Shabbat together as a larger community. All right, I think that's everything. We're going to turn to page, see, I lost it. Hold on a second. All right, I'm going to look it up again. So the Parsha is Lech Lecha, so we have to sing Debbie Freeman's Lechi Lach as our concluding song. So we're on 645. And we're going to join together. Lechi Lach, to a land that I will show you. Lech Lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechi Lach, on your journey I will bless you. And you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi Lach. Lechi Lach. And I shall make your name great. Lech Lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechi Lach, to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim. L'simchat chayim, lechi lach. Shabbat shalom, everyone.